Hey guys, Prangell Gaming here. Welcome back to the Talk the Wall podcast. This is the 35th installment, and before we get right into your responses and questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 34 installments, then why not go check them out? There's going to be a link in the description of this video for the last Talk the Wall, or alternatively, if you'd like to access the playlist and click the I button, and you can catch up with everything you have missed. But as always, if you have any questions or opinions, do feel free to put them in the comments section of this video, because I want a Millwall voice throughout. And while you're down there, don't forget to put your score predictions for the two games that Millwall have coming up in the comments section. The first is obviously against Peterborough United tonight, the team that we've lost by our highest goal margin this season. And then on Saturday, we have MK Dons. These are both obviously at home. Now, while you're down there, put down what you thought went right and wrong in those games, and Millwall as general if you feel like you wish to. But do bear in mind with this podcast, I recorded it on a Monday, so if anything has become outdated or if any new news stories have appeared, then I'll cover them next week in the next Talk the Wall. Let's take a look at your score predictions for the games that Millwall played last week, those being against Chesterfield and Oldham Athletic. But before we do that, I just want to say that I am, on a personal note, gutted that we dropped 4 points against smaller sides. We need to bounce back, as we don't really want to have this sort of trouble where we could be in where Archer's injured at the moment for an unknown time frame, and where we're not always scoring goals with big teams coming up. And I can only apologise for this sort of rant. Anyway, let's just get into your predictions, and we'll start with the first game against Chesterfield. So none of you got the score predictions right, but then again, none of you could have anticipated a 0-0 draw with a team placed 23rd in the league table. The closest of your predictions was Harry CD, who said Millwall would win 1-0, but even he wasn't right. Next closest was 5 of you. Yes, Joe Conway, Dylan Gaming, Jadams, Joe Holloway and Liam Gaming 2 all said that Millwall would win by 2-0. Liam also said that he thought Morrison and Aidan O'Brien would grab the goals, but obviously he was wrong with the score ending 0-0. The final two people to pick the scoreline were both wrong by 3 goals, but on different scorelines, as Raineration said the game would end 2-1, and Riley said it would end 3-0 to Millwall. What about against Oldham? Well, again, no one got the score predictions right. In fact, the closest scoreline was a 2-0 win for Millwall. And 2 of you that said this scoreline would be actually ending this way was It's Hardcore and Riley. 4 of you then said the game would end 3-0 to Millwall. Those were Raineration, Joe Conway, Dylan Gaming and Joe Holloway. Liam Gaming 2 was the next closest, as he said that Millwall would win 2-1 with Fred and Gregory getting Millwall's goals and Clark scoring for Oldham. Well, he almost got there with a Lee Gregory goal, obviously if he had converted one of his penalties, and he also ended with "Come on you Lions" and "Mill." The final person to predict was Jadams, who said that Millwall would win 3-1. Last week I asked you a huge question, which was, do you think that Millwall are currently the most feared team in the FA Cup? And 2 of you commented on this question. Those were Harry CD and Raineration. We'll start with Harry's response, which was actually a really good answer, if I'm honest. And he said, we're 100% are the most feared in the FA Cup, as our fans' reputation, despite being negative, does give us huge favours with putting fear into our opposition, just as well as our unbelievable stats in 2017. Raineration's answer to this question was a very nice one to hear as well, as he said, I believe Millwall are highly feared as they've beaten 3 Premier League teams, including the Premier League champions. Spurs will have a game on their hands. This week's first question that I'm going to be asking you is, what League One team is underperforming in your guys' opinion? I will be picking 3 in the next Talk the Wall, and we'll talk about them in more depth, but do let me know in the comments section. As obviously we always talk about Millwall here, but I want to know a few other teams what you think are just not doing as well as what they should be doing at the moment. Onto your comments, and we'll start with Raineration. His first comment was to a question, actually, and he said, how do you think Millwall's chances are of reaching the FA Cup final? And with this one, I'd say very small, if I'm going to be honest. However, I will say one thing. Whoever scores the first goal in this game should be going through. That's the only thing I always say. And I think that that's worked when we play teams like Leicester. And, well, obviously, this side that we're playing, Tottenham Hotspur, they're a different calibre. So I don't think we're going to beat them. However, I never thought that we could actually beat 3 Premier League teams. So who knows? Hopefully, there's a little bit of hope left for Millwall. It's the FA Cup. Anything can happen. But as I think, I don't really think we will. But if we beat Tottenham, we should win the trophy, because my word, what a run we would be on. He His second comment was on Fred and his agent. Ray Narration said, Fred's agent Samuel manages a lot of young Nigerians and does want the best for them. It is extremely hard to call. I'd personally love if Fred was to stay with us. So there you go. There's his take on Fred's current situation. Next to comment was Jadams, who said, we are on fire. Super Neil has got every player on his side. The team are playing so well and I'm so happy. I reckon we're going up this season. I believe it says game, but I think it's this season. And I'm so happy we got Spurs. I'm going to it. All of those away games are going to pay off as I've got a lot of loyalty points, so I get first dibs on those tickets. And what I say is nice to hear. I agree with you. We are playing some great football and we are a joy to watch when we're at our best. Unfortunately, I can't go to the Tottenham game. I did want to go. A Premier League opposition, a big one as well. An away game that would have been outstanding. But I will be cheering on the Lions from the sofa. So you go to that game, you enjoy it, and you let me know the atmosphere from where you were in the stadium. As obviously, you can't get as much of the atmosphere sitting down on a sofa as you can from being at the match. Harry C is the next person to comment, and he said, sorry for the long comments in advance, and can I just say something? We don't mind here whether you give long comments, short comments, as long as they're interesting to listen to, which everyone's usually is, so it's all good for me. So let's start with what he first said, and he said, the Leicester game was probably the best day of my life. It proved why football is the best thing in the world. I was pretty shocked about how poor our pitch was though. Surely we do that on purpose when playing Premier League teams. Moo! I have to agree with you here. The game was outstanding and it would actually be the final English team that Claudio Ranieri would manage against with Leicester City, which is a shame, but without that atmosphere, we never would have won it. But I will say as a side note, it will be much harder to play Tottenham at White Hart Lane and beat them. If we do, I don't know what to say. I will be absolutely shell-shocked. His second comment was, the main reason I'm worried about Fred leaving is his agent. He has the same agent as Adoma Lookman, and that scares me. I want Fred to stay, to be honest, and I genuinely don't think he's replaceable with the budget we're currently on. And he has played so well against Premier League teams. Let me just focus on the end of that comment, as he said something that no one's really been talking about, and that is, could we replace Fred? And well, I don't know. For me, Worrell struggled to fit into the team under Harris, and I don't think he's been great. And well, Jed is injured and yet to get an assist or a goal for Millwall on his second spell, so I don't know whether he would be the answer to that either. And well, to be honest, I don't think we'd be able to buy someone to actually replace Fred. But if we look at maybe some of the younger players, that's just a thing to think about. As an example, maybe Chris Twaddock. He's impressed me, and he's currently out on loan at Braintree Town. He's doing really well. He's doing wonders out there. I really like him. He's recently just scored his first goal for the under-20s out there, so that's a fantastic achievement for him. And he is definitely someone that I'd say maybe look at. He can play on the left and the right, so maybe he could be the person we turn to, as Harris does like the youth. Liam Gaming 2 is the second to last person to comment and leave his questions, and he's left quite a number, like he usually does. So what we do is we'll answer them, we'll work through them one by one. So we'll start with, do you think Harry Smith will go out on loan? And well, I reckon at one point in the next 2 years, maybe, but not this season, as he's getting game time. And well, if you don't remember, he's only just become a professional footballer under Millwall, so he'll be grateful for the amount of game time he's getting this season. I really think he will. And well, he's still useful for Neil Harris, as especially while Morrison's out injured, Smith needs to come in. Smith made an impact against Oldham. Many people may not think that, but I think he did. He created chances. He actually beat the goalkeeper to a header. Unfortunately, it went over, but he's doing stuff in a Millwall shirt. And so for that reason, I think he'll stay to at least the end of the season before going out on loan. If he does go out on loan, he might become a regular in a Millwall shirt. His next question was, do you think that Steve Morison will retire soon? And to be honest, I would be surprised with this one, because if he was to retire in the next 3 years, it really would be a shock to me, because he performs so well and he's our top goal scorer at the moment. And when you play in the lower leagues, you can play till you're around 40. That's the way that I see some of the best players really stopping when they're around about 40. And Morrison's only 33. He's still quite a while left. And some of the players show age is just a number. I know this is no way inclined to class, but a great example of this is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Many said he'd foul in the Premier League, and he's United's top goal scorer in the past 2 seasons, and he's only been with United since the start of the season. So really, age can be a a number. Morrison's sort of proven that. Sometimes he does need a break. Yes, that is obviously what we're seeing at the moment, but Morrison is a great player, and I don't know whether he will retire for another couple of years because he still is doing well in the Millwall team. He's still getting game time, so why would he? Do you think Lee Gregory will sign a new contract with Millwall? Was Liam's next comment. And with this one, we need to take into account a few things. And that's mainly due to the fact that Lee signed a contract in September, which means his contract will currently run out in the summer of 2018, which will mean Greg's will be almost 30 if he's not already there. So it's kind of this sort of thing that it really shouldn't be on our minds and it shouldn't be on his minds. He's still got a while left on his contract. Maybe next season you should be talking about this, but I don't think he would leave us. To be honest, he's had the opportunity to do so, and I think he would stay with us. Now, just put this into your ideas. Gregory scored 45 goals in 126 games at the current time at the moment, and when he was brought by Millwall to the Football League, he didn't obviously get that exposure until he came to us, and now he's obviously doing it for us, and he still does well, and personally, I think he would stay with us just for the fact we brought him up. It'd take a lot to get him out of the club. Liam's next question was, do you think that Millwall will do well if we don't go up? And this is a tricky question because fans will not be happy if we don't go up again because we want to be in the Championship. That is obviously what people say all the time. Promotion, 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 promotion. But on a personal note, I say if we get into the playoffs and then we don't go up, then I would obviously not be happy 100%, but I'd kind of not be too disappointed as we would have to get promoted the next season. But obviously, Harris is doing well. He may become the if but maybe guy, but I'm hoping he doesn't. Hopes he does get us promoted, but obviously he's not doing that bad. It's a 3-season plan when you come in as a manager, usually before you change it. And so we just see. But I think if we don't go up this season, we haven't had the worst of seasons as long as we remain in the playoffs. And I'd say if we finish above 5th or maybe even 5th itself, then that isn't too bad of a situation. The second to last question is, do you think that Neil Harris will sign a decent player in the next year? And this question to me is quite confusing because a decent player is a relative thing, because some would argue Archer, Ferguson and Hutchinson would be deals that were great. But obviously, if you're asking, will we sign a player of higher calibre than the club or a bit higher than what we've been signing, then I don't think we will, because Millwall always look to the lower leagues to sign players. Now, I was really surprised when we signed Shane Ferguson off of Newcastle, because it's not the type of signings we usually do, but obviously we signed him, and I don't think we're signed players that are quite well known. It'll always be the unknown ones because we seem to develop them and do well with them. His last question was, do you think Romeo will leave? And with this question, it's all about time frame really, because I reckon most of our youngsters will leave in 3-4 years maybe, and a number of them would have left by that time. I expect some of them would have stayed, and well, if that's Mahlon or not, I couldn't say. It's hard to say at the moment. Cummins is battling him for the right back spot, but I mean, in terms of if he leaves in the summer window, then I doubt it. He has a contract till the summer of 2019, and he's only just signed that last year, so it would probably be something he wouldn't go. He wouldn't go to a Premier League club just for the fact it's a Premier League. I think he would stay with us. He loves the club he's at the moment. The team spirit at Millwall is something that I've heard is fantastic, so why would he go? He ended with a couple of songs. Those were Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory, Lee Gregory. He then followed that up with, oh, Stevie Morrison. But that wasn't the end, as he said, he's one of our own, he's one of our own. Ben Thompson, he's one of our own. And then that was followed up by, no one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care, we are Millwall, Super Millwall, we are Millwall from the dead Mill. And he finally finished it with super, super nil, super, super nil, super, super nil, super nil Harris. The final person to comment was Joe Holloway, who said, Jake Philpott, when did we sign him? And that was a response to the graphic on the screen when I was reading about Jamie Philpott on his record in the last Talk the Wall. So if you haven't seen that, I do advise you go have a quick check. I might even leave a little bit of a link in the description of this video, so you can quickly see that second and see my big mistake I make. I try my very best, but we're all human, we do make mistakes. If we take a look at this week's Loan Watch, you'll see that Greg Wells started again for Northampton Town, though he only lasted played 61 minutes before being subbed off for Boateng. By then, Northampton were losing 3-0 to Fleetwood, and that would be the end of that one. Dropping down to League 2, we will start with Sid Nelson's Newport County side, who lost 2-1 to Mansfield Town with a player sent off, though Sid Nelson didn't play this game as I believe he's currently out injured. As for David Ford's Portsmouth side, well, they won 3-0 against third placed Carlisle United, and well, they still have a game in hand over them and only 3 points off of them, so this win is huge. And well, David Ford made some outstanding saves to ensure his side would keep the clean sheet. If we take a look at Braintree Town, neither Twaddock or Farrell played. Farrell just didn't play, but Twaddock is on international duty with Canada. Well, I believe it's ended now. But he took part in the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship. Though Canada were knocked out in that one, Chris did score his first goal as they beat Antigua 2-0. But how did Braintree play? Well, they drew 0-0 with Maidstone. The final player out on loan at the moment is Alfie Pavey, who is out on loan at Hampton and Richmond Borough. Alfie didn't start this game, though he did come on in the 74th minute. That didn't stop them losing 2-0 to Western-super-Mare though. Millwall played 2 games last week, both which were 0-0 draws with Chesterfield and Oldham Athletic. We will start with what happened in the game against Chesterfield, and well, there were a lot of missed kicks in this game. There were not good enough shots, and well, Forster and Stuckman had to turn Lee Gregory's shot over the bar. And it would be Gregory who would be the talk of the match again with Millwall when they played Oldham Athletic at Boundary Park, as Lee Gregory missed not 1 but 2 penalties to deny Millwall the win, as Connor Ripley made some outstanding saves and saved those penalties. I mean, if you haven't watched it, watch it. Ripley was outstanding. He's done really, really well, and he's kept 14 clean sheets in the league, which I've heard is the highest at the moment in the league. Fred also came close to scoring as he beat Ripley in the net, but obviously Clark was there to clear the ball off the line. Time for the player of the week, and I'm going to go with Tom King, just due to the fact he kept 2 clean sheets in his first 2 league games now for the Lions, and that is huge for King, who is currently covering Jordan Archer, who is still unknown for how long he's going to be out for. Last week I asked you to name the most overrated Millwall player, and this was a pretty interesting thing I wanted to do on my part, to be honest. I wanted to learn more about your views, and the first person to comment was Liam Gaming 2, and he said his most overrated player was Tony Craig, the Millwall captain. This was an interesting decision, to be honest, but he didn't actually say why, so I can't really delve into the details of this one, unfortunately, but I can kind of guess why. At the start of the season he wasn't the best, and some fans still haven't really accepted him and haven't liked some of his football, which is understandable. He doesn't always have the best of games, and sometimes he's got to do a little bit better as a captain. The next person to say his overrated player was Harry CD, and he said, for me, it's Jimmy Abdu. Don't get me wrong, I like him, but I just don't think he's a starting 11 player. He isn't a great footballer anymore, and he's made his career out of running out for this club, and that's why we love him. Now, with this one, can I just say he was one of the players I expected, because I have heard a few people complain about Jimmy. We do love him, but he isn't always the best, so I do think he'll probably have to leave soon. But obviously, if he is not minding the football he's getting at the moment, then just stay. He's not the worst of footballers, and he will still get game time at Millwall as it stands. The final person to say his most overrated player was Joe Conway, and this one will be seen as a controversial one, as he said Jordan Archer, as he makes a lot of mistakes with his handling and we concede silly goals. And before I say anything, Joe Holloway responded with, but he was man of the match against Leicester. Now, with Archer, I do kind of understand where Joe Conway's coming from, as I think Archer is slightly overrated. I wouldn't say he's the most overrated player, but Millwall fans do think he's a lot better than he is. He makes quite a few mistakes, and obviously for him to be one of the best goalkeepers, he still has a lot to learn, and he can have good games. Obviously, you saw his game against Leicester. My word, he was outstanding, but he does concede silly goals, and obviously that's partly down to the defence, that's partly down to him. We concede stuff on a lot of the edge of the area all the time, and well, he's just got to get a bit better, but he isn't the worst goalkeeper, and if he starts keeping more and more clean sheets, which he was at the time before he got injured, then that should all be good. But obviously I do understand where you're coming from with that one, Joe. This week's second question is, how do you see Millwall lining up in the next 3 years? And what I mean by this is I mean the starting 11, and will Neil Harris still be the manager? Let me know. Also, you could chuck in there, while you're having a think about it, where will we be? Will we be in League 1? Will we be in the Championship? Or, long behold, will we be in the Premier League? I mean, that's a long shot, isn't it? Let me know your views on that one. I'll say a couple of players that I reckon could be there, just judging by how they're doing in the youth team and some of the players that haven't been covered as much in the past for Millwall. What about the many ups and downs, and for this week we're going to start with the Championship. And as for the 3 teams in the drop zone, well, they're still in the same positions as they were last time. Rotherham remained 24th with 17 points, and their last game they actually came close to drawing 2-2 with Brentford, though they did slip up at the end and lose 4-2. That would have been a crucial point for Rotherham, who haven't been at their best this season. They now need 16 points, and now of playing the 34 games out of 46, it means they only have 12 games to save their season. They look a dead cert to get relegated at the moment. 23rd are Blackburn Rovers, and out of all the sides in the drop zone, I really think they look like they're in the best position to get out of it. They've just signed a new manager in Tony Mowbray, and they have 2 games in hand over 2 of the sides in the relegation zone. They only need 4 points to go ahead of Bristol City's 33, and after a 1-1 draw with Burton Albion and with one of their 2 games against Wigan Athletic, it's just about time they make their mark and try and battle to stay up. If they beat Wigan, then they could definitely do this battle and stay up in the Championship. The final team in the drop zone is Wigan Athletic, who are currently placed 22nd in the league, and they have 31 points. Their last game ended 0-0 with Nottingham Forest, and in terms of their fixtures, I do think they have the best, as they have 4 sides: Blackburn, Birmingham, Bristol City and Aston Villa in their next 4 games, all of which are currently struggling, though Villa and Birmingham did just pick up wins in their last matches. Let's take a look at 3 of the Automatics promotion spaces in League 2, and we'll start with the team who are 3rd placed in League 2, and that's Carlisle United, who have 58 points, and after their 3-0 loss to Portsmouth, they really did miss an opportunity to get closer to the top, as if they had won, they would have been on 61 points, which would have been 4 points off of Doncaster, who are currently top of the league. Second in the league are Plymouth Argyle, who have had a game in hand over Doncaster for a while. When they play it, they're only 3 points off of them at the moment, so that could really be something real helpful for Plymouth's actual advantage at the moment. But they did miss a huge chance to go only a point off of Doncaster, as they drew 1-1 with playoff hopefuls Luton Town. And well, obviously Plymouth will hope to continue their battle with promotion by beating Carlisle United, the team that are currently just below them, when they play them on Saturday. That will really prove that they're going to be battling to try and win this league title. Top of League 2 are Doncaster Rovers, who have 65 points, and in their last match drew 2-2 with Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Doncaster have the better chances of winning in the league if you look at their next 4 fixtures though, as they play Cambridge United, who are currently 10th placed in the league, which is actually their highest out of all the sides they have to play, so they've got some pretty good games coming up. Striker John Marquis, who is a former Lion, has actually scored 19 league goals for him this season. He's obviously doing very well at the moment. Now it's time for the final section of the podcast. Yes, that is right, it is the Millwall news, and this week we have 5 stories ranging from Tony Craig staying with Millwall for 1 more season to ticket numbers for Millwall's tie against Tottenham in the FA Cup. And so that does mean our first story is that Captain Tony Craig is going to be with the Lions until the summer of 2018, as he had a 12-month contract extension triggered in his contract. The second story is that Tom King is saying that he cannot wait to take his chances while Jordan Archer is out injured. King made his league debut against Chesterfield last Tuesday and also played against Oldham Athletic. In both of those games he kept a clean sheet, meaning he has 3 clean sheets in 7 games that he has played for Millwall, and while he has also conceded 7. As mentioned in the last story, Jordan Archer is out after injuring his quad. However, the time frame is currently unknown at the time of me recording this, so it could mean the goalkeeper could miss the Tottenham tie, but hopefully this isn't the case, and well, Archer will really be hoping it isn't the case, because he will be battling back. He wants that game against his former side. The second to last story comes from Neil Harris, who announced that Lee Gregory was feeling terrible after missing both penalties. Harris said it's down to the players who take the spot kicks, but Lee was very brave after he missed the first one to step up and take the second. Neil also added that the team will pick him up and they will get over it together. The final story is that Millwall have been given a ticket allocation of 3,681 tickets for the Emirates FA Cup quarter-final game against Tottenham Hotspur at White Hart Lane. And if you cannot make their game, it will be broadcast on BBC One for you guys to see. So that is all we got time for today. Do feel free to put your questions and opinions in the comment section for the next Talk to Wall. However, before I go, don't forget to put your score predictions for the games against Peterborough United, which is tonight, and MK Dons in the comment section, but do specify which one you're on. If you're doing both, then that's just easy. Just leave the initials of the clubs. And obviously, I'll cover that next week, along with highlighting the good and bad points of the games. And why don't you tell me your opinions of the matches and Millwall as a whole? So, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, I will see you guys next week for the next Talk the Wall. However, until then, goodbye